very large process that I've really developed over the years now. So finding information, being linked to certain things to get information very quickly, research, and all those things to come to some conclusion. For waveform transmission, that was made actually after the X projects, X101, X102, and I had learned a little bit from those projects about the Final Cut album, and then X101, X102, the Riot EP and the Underground Resistance albums. I had learned more about formulating albums and how to position the tracks so that they somewhat tell a story and how they're somewhat related to each other, and there is this type of equation.
A common thread as well.
Yeah, and Waveform Transmission 1 was actually the first album, that really had this type of format that I still use today. There's certain tracks that I begin with, and certain tracks that I'm giving an indication that they are the DNA, or the track that is the common link between all of them is typically somewhere in there, and then the last track is generally something that is probably leading to the next album.
So would you describe the sort of format that you're most keen on now as a sort of concept album in that case? Or?
Well, I mean, the title Waveform Transmission really comes, from the idea that I was kind of exporting a type of vision or a type of idea of what I thought at the time where techno was really heading. And I again, the circles where I was, hanging, and the type of people I was hanging out with, kind of were really reflective of the type of music that was. I was hanging out with, Richard Aphex Twin at the time. And,
fantastic!
And all those guys from his label, and even in Berlin with Basic Channel guys, and
Aphex really does sort of push it as far as it goes, doesn't he? So.
Yeah. I mean, Berlin, for instance, was made at the apartment one, time after we ate dinner over at Mark Anessa's house. He's the guy from Basic Channel, and he had just hooked up the equipment, and I after dinner we just thought, let's just fool around and make a track. And so that track actually comes from there, just basically an extension from the conversation that we had about where the music was heading at the time, and just things like that. So it was really a reflection. It was really a snapshot of time, back then. But it was based on the idea of where we thought the electronic music was headed.
And now for some music. We begin with Berlin, a song perhaps best known from Jeff Mills' remarkable live album, Jeff Mills Live at the Liquid Room Part 2, which is, to use DJ parlance, a true floor filler. That was Jeff Mills with Berlin. Now, to provide some balance, and also to show the considerable diversity of this album, we have the driving yet ambient Man-Like.